It has been a while, a longer break than what it has been, but eventually IFMC is back. Hello there guys, I'm JWF1 and welcome to the first pre-season test, the first day of pre-season testing here at the Ricard circuit, a new track for IFMC in terms of testing, but we are here and we cannot wait to get underway to kick off the Season 4 IFMC Championship. And well, coming off a very exciting Season 3, and well, a lot of things coming this way into Season 4 as well. It's obviously the last hurrah for the V10s before the V12s come in for Season 5. A lot of driver changes, a new team entering as well, and well, so many engine swaps as well that have happened, and some driver transfers, but let me assure you, the action still remains here. And well, it has been, I think, roughly now around 14 weeks since the end of season test at Abu Dhabi. Obviously, mainly due to IFMC IndyCar being in the middle of those between Season 3 and Season 4. But anyway, we are here for IFMC Season 4, the first pre-season test. And before we start then, let's quickly have a look at the drivers that will be taking part in this test. Just to let you know, not all of the teams are using their Season 4 driver lineups. I think 3 teams are using one of their test drivers in the car, so expect that to be the case. But for the first pre-season test, here are the drivers that will be taking part today. For Etihad BMW, the defending champions, you'll be seeing defending champion Fernando Alonso entering his final season in IFMC, with Lewis Hamilton also joining him today. Bud Light Line Motorsport will be having Romain Grosjean and Antonio Giovinazzi. Eldorado, Valtteri Bottas and Will Power. EMR, Sebastian Vettel and Nico Hulkenberg, their first season running Mercedes. Suomi, you'll be seeing Kimi Raikkonen and Nico Kari in the car. GRM, Daniel Ricciardo entering his final season at GRM before becoming an Etihad driver in Season 5, and he's also joined by Jean-Eric Vergne today. Monster will have Brendan Hartley and Oliver Rowland, the Season 3 IFMC GP2 champion, of course, Brendan Hartley. AMP, Pascal Wehrlein and Stoffel Vandoorne. Martini, Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. Shadow Mercedes, you'll be seeing Carlos Sainz Jr. and Charles Leclerc. And finally, for Mars Grand Prix, you'll be seeing Ed Jones and their test driver, Joseph Newgarden. So, they are of course, the drivers that will be taking part today during this preseason test. And, well, we'll be going through a few changes that have come their way through in towards Season 4. But, without further ado, because I have chin wagged for quite a while, here, let's go to the first day of pre-season testing at the Ricard circuit. And of course as well, the return of the TV graphics just for pre-season testing, of course. And but here we are then, so we're going to go to the end of the pit lane with Charles Leclerc, so we will wait and get the session underway. It's an hour session, this one is, but hopefully still having a good session nonetheless, as we have, I believe, some pit activity already in the form of Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo, the first man out on track to kickstart Season 4 of IFMC then. So Ricciardo, the first man out on track here at the Ricard circuit in France. And I've kind of nicknamed it in the past as my brother and FIA's Paradise, just due to the amount of runoff there is. It is a test track, of course, but Daniel Ricciardo, the first man out on track, of course, in the GRM, and hoping to continue where GRM left off at the end of the season after making a brilliant comeback to get them up into 6th place in the Constructors' Championship after what had been a tricky season for them overall. Valtteri Bottas out on track for Eldorado, so he's out there as well, as is Mr. Esteban Ocon. He's out there on track now then for Martini, as is Nico Hulkenberg in the EMR, his first appearance in the EMR. Max Verstappen now out on track as well, as is Brendan Hartley. Fernando Alonso, the defending champion, is now out on track for Etihad, as is Joseph Newgarden. Jean-Eric Vergne out on track as well, as is Stoffel Vandoorne. Lewis Hamilton also out there as well. Will Power out there, as is Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc out there as well, and that is that. I think that's in total 14 cars out on track. And obviously during this I'll also go through some of the changes that are going through for Season 4. In fact, we'll do that now as Ricciardo prepares to start his lap. He's actually just coming up towards the final 2 corners now then. So amongst some of the changes, we'll talk about liveries first of all. Each team is now required to have the Bridgestone logo on their car. And because obviously now Bridgestone are now the only sole tyre supplier in IFMC, because Goodyear pulled out at the end of Season 3. Bridgestone the only sole tyre supplier now in IFMC. But each team now required to have the Bridgestone logo in some way on the car. And GOM managing to get theirs on the M plates of the rear wing. So that's Ricard. That's that. Another thing as well, of course, to keep up with real life as well. When we go to the Middle East and even in France as well, teams that carry alcohol sponsors will have to censor them. So for France and for Bahrain, they can just completely censor the alcohol word with a barcode, or just blank it out, or even have some words that have the same font as the branded beer. But when it comes to Abu Dhabi, it's got to be censored completely, like the Williams is at Martini. So for example, Martini, that doesn't even carry the word Martini on the car, they will have to change their colour scheme when it comes to Abu Dhabi, because their colour scheme reflects the Martini logo. So that will have to change up as well. It's just to make it realistic as well, which you see here as well, because we are in France. Some of the teams censoring some alcohol sponsors. Only 3 teams have alcohol sponsors on the car, well, excluding Martini, of course, because they don't have the word Martini on there. Those being Etihad with Corona, Shadow with Guinness, and Suomi, which I don't know what it is. I think it's a Finnish brand of vodka, I believe one of the sponsors is on the end plate. But yeah, so that's what you'll definitely be seeing, as Ricciardo is going to be the first man to pop a time for Season 4 as he just comes out of the final corner. And let's see what the time is going to be. It's a 1:31.346, so an early benchmarker time there for Daniel Ricciardo. Let's see what Valtteri Bottas can manage then in the Eldorado. As he comes down the pit straight, he goes into second with that lap. So it's P2 for Valtteri Bottas. Esteban Ocon, what can he manage? This is a lot of hype has gone around with this Martini. Ocon slots into second with that lap. Nico Hulkenberg goes to third in the EMR. Max Verstappen, what can he manage? He crosses the line and goes to second. Just slots behind Ricciardo with that time there. As now we look at Brendan Hartley and the monster. Behind him is Fernando Alonso, the defending champion. But let's see what Brendan Hartley can manage then, as the monster car now then is going to cross the line. And it's 5th place for Hartley. Fernando Alonso slots into 4th. Might have got held up a little bit by Hartley. It's 3rd for Joseph Newgarden in the Mars Grand Prix car. Jean-Eric Vergne slots into 8th. Stoffel Van Dorn excuse me, slots into 7th. Hamilton goes to 4th, like he got held up there by Stoffel Van Dorn. So both Etihads getting held up there on their first laps. As Power goes into 4th in the Eldorado. Here comes Carlos Sainz. He goes into 3rd in the Shadow, surprisingly there, as it's 7th for Charles Leclerc. But at the moment it is currently Ricciardo at the top of the time sheets. But a lot of cars did get held up on their laps, so these might not reflect the whole picture by the end of this testing session. But Ricciardo is pulling back into the pit. Some other changes as well, just to make you aware. In terms of upgrades for preseason testing, the teams can only upgrade once during preseason testing, and that will be at the first day of the RF test next weekend. But then for the actual season itself, starting from Australia, they can upgrade whatever they want, as long as it's a maximum of 5 every weekend when they upgrade. And just seeing if anybody else is doing a lap, or if they're all just coming back into the pits. Let's have a look. I think they're all coming back into the pits, actually. So they're all coming back into the pits. We'll view Charles Leclerc then in the Shadow. First time running Mercedes. But as I was saying, that is one of the things they have to do as well. So that's that one. Another thing to note as well. Trying to think now, where was I? We've already mentioned about how the upgrades are going to work during the season in terms of the whole teams, and on that regard as well. Also as well, you may have noticed in the testing, it has gone back to 2 drivers each now for testing. Last season it was just 1 driver driving the car, but due to complaints from teams stating that it was quite boring just seeing 1 driver out there on the track, it has reverted back to 2 drivers each for each of the teams. And so expect that. So that's that really. So that's one of the rules. Gone back for the first time since season 2. 2 drivers each. And finally, of course, it has been implemented in all of IF leagues for IFMC and at one point the now defunct IF1C, as Romain Grosjean goes out on track for Bud Light Motorsport. But Yeah, so one of the things as well, just to note as well, each of the teams now has a maximum of only 3 appeals during the season as well, and they only have to use one every weekend. They have to use that if they feel like an incident that has gone in favour of the opposing side and they feel it's not been a justified reason why they got punished. They can use one of those appeals. This has been brought in as a result of many teams last season, and especially some drivers in IFMC as well, pretty much abusing their right to appeal the decision. I'm not going to name any names, but that is the reason why it has been brought in. So now each team is now limited to 3 appeals, just like it is in tennis. Well, something similar on the lines of tennis, but anyway, that's that. They are those rule changes. Not many, but only minor changes, but still ones which would hopefully make the series better in some way. Well, some of them, in fact, some of them are just for looks, really. As Romain Grosjean is now out on track for the new liveried Bud Light Line Motorsport car. So Grosjean out on track, as is Sebastian Vettel in the EMR. Antonio Giovinazzi out on track as well, as is Oliver Rowland. Jean-Eric Vergne out on track as well, as is Ed Jones. Stoffel Vandoorne back out. Pascal Wehrlein, Valtteri Bottas, Nico Kari, Joseph Newgarden, Kimi Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, Brendan Hartley. Those guys are out on track. Neither Etihad has gone back out on track. Pretty much, I think, just taking the time, really, like you should do in testing, really. But Romain Grosjean now then, he just feeds around the first few corners on the track now then, as he goes through the double right-hander now then. Romain Grosjean really picking up the pace at the moment, while trying to set a first lap in if he can, as he just goes down the long straight now then. 1/10 off Daniel Ricciardo in the first sector there. So Grosjean off the pace in the first sector, as they now go up towards the right-hander now then. Well, it's a very, very long straight they have to go down with then. So really, Paul Ricard in their way is all about power around here. But for Jerez, it's going to be mainly about cornering. As Grosjean 1/10 still down in the second sector, so keeping it consistent in the second sector. Well, it was only a straight, really. There was no corners on it as a result. But here comes Romain Grosjean now then, up towards the final few corners. He goes now then on the track, using as much curb as possible, as he now approaches the final 2 corners on the track. And let's see then what Romain Grosjean can manage then on his first flying lap. As now we head down the pit straight. Romain Grosjean is going to cross the line, and what is he going to manage? It's P8 for Romain Grosjean, only P8 for the Frenchman. And that time around, here comes Sebastian Vettel then in the Mercedes-powered EMR. What can he manage? Vettel is going to cross the line, and it's only good enough for 15th on that time around for Sebastian Vettel, as it's 6th for Antonio Giovinazzi. Here comes Ollie Rowland. He goes to 18th for that lap. Jean-Eric Vergne now then in the GRM. What can he post now then as he goes down the start straight? Vergne, across the line he goes, and it's P5 for Jean-Eric Vergne. Ed Jones, meantime, slots into 14th with that lap. Here comes Stoffel Vandoorne, just going around the final corners as they head down the start straight. Stoffel Vandoorne across the line, and he goes up to 9th place with that lap. So it's P9 for Stoffel. Here's his teammate, Pascal Wehrlein, just coming out of the final corner. And let's see then what Wehrlein can manage. And it's 16th only for Pascal Wehrlein that time around. Valtteri Bottas, meantime, only goes up to 17th. So he seems to be struggling at the moment. Kari goes 20th. Newgarden stays where he is at the moment, which is 4th in the Mars Grand Prix car, surprisingly. As Kimi Raikkonen slots to 19th with that lap. Only 19th there. Ricciardo doesn't improve on his best time at the moment. Here is Brendan Hartley as he just negotiates through these next section of corners. And let's see what Brendan can manage then as he heads down the start straight now then. Hartley is going to cross the line, and he stays where he is at the moment, which is, whereabouts is he? Hartley stays in 18th place at the present moment. So that's that really at the moment. Is anybody else planning to do another lap straight after this? I thought Wehrlein there for a minute was, but he isn't. So I think everybody is actually coming back into the pit. So at the moment, it is currently Ricciardo fastest, with Verstappen second, Sainz in third, Newgarden fourth, Vergne in fifth, and then it is Power in sixth, Giovinazzi seventh, Hamilton in eighth, Vandoorne ninth, Leclerc 10th, Grosjean 11th, Ocon 12th, Alonso 13th, Hulkenberg 14th, Jones 15th, Wehrlein in 16th, Bottas 17th, Hartley 18th, Raikkonen 19th, Vettel 20th, Ricard 21st, and Roland in 22nd position. But let's not forget as well, a lot of guys got held up on their first flying lap, so whether this will stay for the remainder of it, I don't know. I doubt it, but we will see. As now Hartley just negotiates through these remaining corners, as he'll be coming back into the pits, as we've already done nearly 12 minutes of this first day of pre-season testing for the Season 4 IFMC Championship. And as per usual as well, despite the little upgrade changes, each team still has 25 tokens as well as last season, and they both can be for engine and reliability, and or both if they choose to. As now Hartley will be returning to the pits, just peels to the right, and into the pits then goes Brendan Hartley. In a way, this can give you an indication of what the Paul Ricard circuit is like, minus the bus-stop chicane, because it will have the bus-stop chicane in the middle of the straight when Formula 1 gets there later on this year. But at least it gives you an idea of what the track is like. And I think, I don't know if the first two corners are different from what it is here, but that's that. Meantime, defending champion Fernando Alonso coming out onto the track for Etihad Racing. And he's hoping to get some clear after being held up on his first flying lap. But the pack does appear to be quite close at the moment, it must say. And so that's that at the moment. So as you can see, Alonso going through the right and left-hander. Sorry about that, as Alonso's on track, but he's joined by a couple of others. Grosjean out there as well, as is Esteban Ocon. Pascal Wehrlein out on track as well, as is Carlos Sainz Jr. in the Shadow Mercedes. Nico Kari out on track, as is Lewis Hamilton, who's finished runner-up to Fernando now for the last 3 seasons, and hoping to rewrite the script this season if he can. Roland out on track as well, as is Sebastian Vettel. Ed Jones out there as well, as is Antonio Giovinazzi. As meantime, Verstappen in fact was the first man to come out onto the track. I do apologise. In front of, I think that's Hulkenberg behind him. It is. Unless Alonso is on a lap, then I'm clearly blind. Nope, there were cars that just went out before him. So Verstappen out on track for Martini, currently finding himself in second place at the moment in the Martini. And a lot of hype surrounding the Martini in terms of the Martini camber force, considering they have a Ferrari engine. So far, Verstappen up in second. Ocon down in 12th for the moment, but whether they'll stay like that for the remainder of the session, we don't know, considering that a lot of guys got held up in the traffic on their first flying laps. Verstappen 1/10 down off Ricciardo in the first sector. Ricciardo now an Etihad driver, let's not forget, just loaned out to GRM. Back to GRM for this season before he becomes a full-time Etihad driver next season, replacing Alonso, who will be making his IndyCar debut. And so now going up towards the next corners on the track now then, as Verstappen again 1/10 down in the second sector. As let's see then what he's able to do then on his second flying lap. As we just have just over 3/4 of an hour to go in this session. As Verstappen through these corners now then, let's see what Mad Max can do. Through the right-hander and down the pit straight we go, and Verstappen is going to cross the line. And let's see what he can do. He doesn't improve and stays in second place. What about Nico Hulkenberg? As he crosses the line, the man that Verstappen's actually replaced, the Martini. Hulkenberg stays in 14th for the time being, as Kimi Raikkonen is about to start his lap. Here's Fernando Alonso meantime. Haven't seen what his sectors are like. But let's see now that he's got a clear track in front of him now then, as he just approaches the last corner now then on the track. As he goes down the start straight, Alonso, let's see what he can manage. The 3-time champion now then crosses the line and only goes up to 10th with that lap, so only P10 for Fernando Alonso, as it's 6th now for Romain Grosjean, so he finds some more time in the bag, as it's only 13th for Ocon. He stays where he is at the present moment but does improve. Wehrlein meantime goes up to 13th, gets in front of Ocon. Here comes Carlos Sainz Jr. He now crosses the line and stays in 3rd for the time being. Let's see then what car he can manage as he just approaches the final corner. And Hamilton is also out on track as well. Kari crosses the line and goes up into 15th place. Lewis Hamilton, what can he manage? He goes up to second with that lap. So it's P2 for Lewis Hamilton, 600 of a second off what may be his future teammate, Daniel Ricciardo. Roland improves but stays in last. Up to 13th goes Sebastian Vettel. Here comes Ed Jones. He stays where he is at the moment, which is P18 at this stage. And Antonio Giovinazzi now then just goes up towards the final 2 corners on the track. Let's see what the Italian can manage as he just heads down the pit straight. Gio crosses the line and stays in 9th place. Verstappen, meantime, coming back into the pits, as Hulkenberg also as well. In fact, Raikkonen on a lap now then. Raikkonen currently down in 21st at the moment. That's not exactly what he needs at the moment. But let's see if he's able to try and find some time this time around as he just negotiates out of the final corner. Raikkonen now then going to cross the line and only goes up to 19th at the moment. Both Finns, well, all 3 Finns, in fact, I should say, because Kari is also a Finn, are currently struggling at the moment and outside the top 10. Alonso's going back into the pits. Clearly, probably not pushing hard on that lap. You don't know, really. But anyway, let's see now then. As everybody's coming back into the pits now then. So do expect maybe some guys to come back out, but at the moment, here is what the leaderboard looks like then. It's Ricciardo first, Hamilton second, Verstappen third, Sainz fourth, with Newgarden fifth, and then it's Verne sixth, Grosjean seventh, Power in eighth, Giovinazzi ninth, Van Dorn 10th, with Alonso 11th, Leclerc 12th, Vettel 13th, Verline 14th, Ocon 15th, Kari 16th, Hulkenberg 17th, with Jones 18th, Raikkonen 19th, Bottas 20th, Hartley 21st, and Roland in 22nd position. So far, the 2 monsters at the back at the moment in 21st and 22nd. Roland quite a way off the pace of Brendan Hartley, the Season 3 IFMC GP2 champion. And as you can see, Raikkonen will be returning to the pits this lap. As now, as you can see, just negotiating through these corners now then. As Raikkonen will be returning back to the pits. So Will Power, meantime, in the Eldorado is now out on track as he just negotiates through these section of corners. And Power now then just going out of the corner now then up towards the right-hander. As now in towards the left-hander we go, heading down the long straight. And Power just preparing himself to start... preparing himself to start start his next flying lap. Daniel Ricciardo out on track at the moment, as his teammate Jean-Eric Vergne. So GRM getting both their guys out there as quick as possible. Nico Hulkenberg out on track, as is Valtteri Bottas and Brendan Hartley. Those guys coming out together. Leclerc and Ocon are now out on track, as is Joseph Newgarden. Stoffel Van Dorn out there as well. Power is also out on track, as who was the first man out on track? In fact, it was actually Power. I do apologise. It was in my mind a bit there, but Power will be starting his next flying lap, and so far preparing to start his next lap. Now, of course, if you didn't see a little earlier on, yesterday I did have to be the bearer of bad news in terms of one the tracks on the calendar, which was Monaco. Unfortunately, it doesn't work again. Recently I've put in place a new testing system to actually test out new tracks, because the previous testing system, which Monaco worked at, didn't really give a conclusive answer as to whether the track would fully work for a race weekend. And this one I'm guaranteed it will. And so I tested Monaco with this new testing system, and it concluded that the track just doesn't work. I've tried several times to try and fix the issue, but like I said on Twitter, it just doesn't want to play ball. As Power is only 500ths off Ricciardo there in the first sector, after just missing out on the IFMC IndyCar title 3 weeks ago to Sebastian Bourdais. But as I was saying, so obviously I did a 24-hour vote to decide which of the 4 tracks out of those 4 tracks would you want to see replacing the Monaco Grand Prix. It had to be a European track because I didn't want GP2 to lose a race, and even GP3 as well. And it was between 4 tracks, one of them being the Circuit Paul Ricard, which we're at now, which would play host to either the European or French or Swiss Grand Prix, because obviously France is close to Switzerland. And last time there was actually a race in France in Dijon that actually played host to a Swiss Grand Prix back in the day. Another one was the Circuito DRF circuit to play host to the European Grand Prix. The other being Donington Park in the United Kingdom, which would play host to the European Grand Prix as Power moves up into 6th place with that lap. And the other one being the Red Bull Ring at Austria, which would obviously play host to the Austrian Grand Prix. And after 24 hours, it was a very close vote, but in the end, a majority of you voted for Donington Park to replace the Monaco Grand Prix to play host to the European Grand Prix. So we will be going to the UK twice on the calendar. No improvement for Riccardo as his teammate, meantime, goes up into 4th place. So an improvement there for Jean-Eric Vergne. Jerome continuing the pace they had towards the end of last season, with both their drivers fighting for podiums. As meantime, Nico Hülkenberg just comes out of the final corner. And let's see what Hülkenberg can manage, and Hülkenberg stays where he is, which is 17th. Bottas stays in 20th. Hartley stays in 21st with that lap, unless he's just started a lap. No, he has actually just finished a lap. Charles Leclerc now then in the shadow. What can he do? He stays in 13th as Ocon gets into the top 10, so he moves up into 10th as Newgarden now then stays in P6. Here is Stoffel Vandoorne in the AMP. What can he do? He goes up to 9th at that time, so he gets into the top 10. Here is Lewis Hamilton. Is he going to try and dethrone Ricciardo off the top if he can? As he just negotiates through the final 2 corners then. And let's see what Lewis Hamilton can manage then as he just heads down the start-finish straight. Lewis Hamilton now then, across the line he comes, and he doesn't improve, stays in 2nd place, came close but unable to improve. Verstappen stays in 3rd place at the moment. Alonso stays 12th meantime around, so clearly not used to the Paul Ricard track, it appears, as Will Power comes into the pits. And meantime, let's see, Romain Grosjean out on track for Bud Light Lime as he goes up towards the right hand, and now then going flat as possible, using as much curb on the left as he just negotiates through these next section of corners, and just going around these corners then, and he's looking to try and improve, but so far he doesn't look to be on improving according to his 2nd sector time, as we just have just under now 37 minutes to go in this session. Time really chopping down quite quick here at Paul Ricard, and so out of the final corner and onto the start straight. Let's see what Romain Grosjean can manage, and he stays where he is, which I can't remember what the place is, but that is that. As now anybody else on the lap, it doesn't appear like it, so Romain Grosjean will be coming back into the pits, and might be quite familiar to him, this Paul Ricard track, considering he is from France. Well, I think he was born in Switzerland, but he likes to be referred to as French, I think because one of his parents is French. But anyway, Romain Grosjean then just going around the left-hander, and he's just 2/10 down in the 1st sector, but he's coming back into the pits anyway. So yeah, so at the moment then, as we have now under 36 minutes to go, here is what the leaderboard currently looks like. It's Ricciardo fastest, Hamilton 2nd, with Verstappen 3rd, Vergne 4th, Sainz 5th, Newgarden in 6th, with Power 7th, Grosjean 8th, Vandoorne 9th, Giovinazzi 10th, Ocon 11th, Alonso 12th, Leclerc 13th, Vettel 14th, Verline 15th, Kari 16th, Hülkenberg 17th, Jones 18th, Raikkonen 19th, Bottas 20th, Hartley 21st, and Rowland in 22nd position. The two monsters locking out the rest of the pack, and so that's that then really, as Grosjean just negotiates through this left-hander, and Grosjean currently finding himself, where is Grosjean? Currently in 8th at the moment is Romain Grosjean. Bud Light Motorsport obviously finishing runner-up to Etihad last season, and hoping to try and beat them if they can this season. And meantime then, so that's that, as Charles Leclerc is now into the pits, as he just pulls out of his box, and so Leclerc coming back out onto the track, along with several others that have been out for quite a while now. In fact, I've only just realised Ed Jones is now starting his lap for Mars Grand Prix, as he now comes up towards the first 2 corners on the track. And Jones through the left and right-hander he goes. Flat out as he goes now. Then we're right on board with Jones, in fact, for the whole of this lap then, as he just goes through turns 3, 4 and then 5 and 6, which is kind of like a double right-hander, with the second right-hander being quite long. A bit of a lift off acceleration and then flat out through the left-hander before taking you onto the back straight. Down the straight we go. Jones now then is nearly 3 tenths down, I should say, in the first sector there, as he heads down this long straight now then, a very, very long straight, and now coming up towards the flat out right-hander, and so through we go then, through the flat out right-hander, using as much curve as possible. 4 tenths down now in the second sector. Obviously Mars Grand Prix bringing back the Porsche engines for the first time since SIC used them back in the first season of this championship, and the now defunct SIC team, and now Mars Grand Prix on their debut, replacing Morin Jones Racing, the outgoing Morin Jones Racing, bringing back the Porsche engines for this season. Jones now then, who's currently in 18th place, just comes down the start straight now then, and Jones crosses the line and stays in 18th place for the time being, as Verline is currently on a lap for AMP. He just negotiates through the next section of corners. And let's see what Pascal can manage then, as we ride on board with the German. Verline now then, across the line he goes, and he stays in 15th place with that. Riccardo starting a lap. Verne stays in 4th place, as Sainz stays 5th for the time being, as Roland improves but stays in last. Raikkonen stays 19th with that lap. Here is his teammate for today, Nico Kari, and let's see what Kari can do. He stays in 16th place with that, as Joseph Newgarden stays in 6th. Vettel stays in 14th place for the minute. Here comes Antonio Giovinazzi now then, as he just comes out of the final corner. And let's see what Gio can manage then on this lap. Across the line he goes, and Giovinazzi stays in 10th place with that lap. Will Power, see what he can do in the Eldorado. Power crosses the line and stays in, as Hartley moves up to 18th there, as you can see down the bottom. Hartley moves up to 18th. Power stays in 7th with that lap. Here is Charles Leclerc in the Shadow Mercedes. And let's see what Leclerc can manage then on this lap, as he just comes up towards the final 2 corners on the track. And let's see what Leclerc can manage then. Around the final corner and onto the start straight we go. Leclerc is going to cross the line and stays where he is at the moment, which is P13. At this stage, here is Pascal Wehrlein as he negotiates through the next section of corners. And that's that. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo. Up towards the final corner he goes, and Ricciardo now then heading down the pit straight now then, and Ricciardo crosses the line and stays on a 1:31.346 as people come back into the pits. Here comes Joseph Newgarden. Round the final corner goes the American, and Newgarden then is going to cross the line, and he stays where he is at the moment, which is P6 in the Mars Grand Prix car. And just so you know, just to let you know, of course, obviously only 3 test drivers are out on track at the moment, but either way, you've seen most of the driver lineup, but I'll go through the actual driver lineup anyway during the season. So let's have a look then. So I'm going to name now the drivers and teams for season 4. So at Etihad Racing, we have defending champion Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton. And at Bud Light Line Motorsport, we have Romain Grosjean and Antonio Giovinazzi. Eldorado Racing have Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas. EMR have Sebastian Vettel and Nico Hulkenberg. At Suomi Grand Prix, they have Kimi Raikkonen and Kevin Magnussen. GRM have Daniel Ricciardo and Jean-Eric Verne. Monster Grand Prix, Brendan Hartley and Oliver Rowland. At AMP Racing, we have Pascal Wehrlein and Stoffel Van Dorn. Martini Motorsport have Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. Shadow Mercedes have Carlos Sainz Jr. and Charles Leclerc. And finally, Mars Grand Prix have Scott Dixon and Ed Jones. So they are the lineups then for season number, I can't remember what season it is, 4. And I had to figure the number there for a minute. But Newgarden then coming back into the pits. And so, as you can see, into the pits then goes Newgarden. And as you can see now then, Valtteri Bottas out on track, struggling down in 21st place at the moment. And as he just negotiates through the final corner, just under half an hour to go now then in this session, as Bottas crosses the line and just starts his lap now then as he goes up towards the first few corners then on the track. Bottas now then trying to see if he can improve on 21st place at the moment. So far Bottas appearing to struggle around this track here at Paul Ricard, and a bit of a shame really if you think about it for him, because obviously he managed to get Eldorado's first victory last season. In fact, he got 2 victories last season for Eldorado last season at Monza and Magny-Cours. And Monza was a bit of luck, but well, both of them you could say were kind of luck in a way, but Magny-Cours slightly not, just because Bottas essentially just called the strategy right in the end, and ended up winning that race. As Bottas now then heading down the long straight he goes, and I have to keep very cool concentration. It might get boring going down a straight, but that's what I've got to do. Got to keep concentration as maximum as possible. As let's see what his second split is like. 4 tenths down in the second sector. So let's see now. That it looks like so far his time's not going to be able to get into the top 10 at the moment if he's looking on for an improvement. Bottas now then through the left-hander he goes now then, using as much of the curb on the right-hand side as possible, up towards the last 2 corners now then on the track. And let's see then, so Bottas up towards the final corner he goes, and Valtteri Bottas now then is going to come across the line, and let's see what Bottas can manage. He stays 21st with that last. So Bottas clearly struggling around here. In fact, all 3 Finns appearing to struggle around here. Ocon stays in 11th. Jones just starts his lap. Here is defending champion Fernando Alonso out on track now then in the Etihad, as he goes up towards the final 2 corners then on the track. And so through the final corner and onto the start straight then goes Fernando Alonso. And let's see, is Alonso on an improvement? He is, but only good enough for 12th at the moment. In fact, he sets the same time as Ocon there, as Van Dorn goes up into P8 there. So up to 8th place goes Stoffel Van Dorn. Nico Kari, meantime, is currently 16th at the minute. Has just started a lap. Here is Nico Hülkenberg in the Mercedes powered EMR. And Hülkenberg now then across the line, and he stays in 17th place. Lewis Hamilton now then up towards the final 2 corners he goes at the moment. He's currently in 2nd place, 600 behind Daniel Ricciardo. But let's see what Lewis Hamilton can manage then on this lap. Hamilton is going to cross the line and doesn't improve, stays in 2nd place. That's Verline behind, starts his lap. Sebastian Vettel improves but stays in 14th place. Giovinazzi just starting a lap here. Here's Max Verstappen across the line he goes. He stays in 3rd place with that lap. Just letting you know, VES is Verstappen and VER is Verne. Grosjean now then crosses the line and stays in 9th, as Roland behind improves but still stays in last. He's now within 7 tenths of the man at the top, which is Daniel Ricciardo. Here is Ed Jones just coming out of the final corner and onto the start straight he goes. Jones then across the line and he stays in 19th place with that lap. So we now look at Nico Kari now then. He just negotiates through the left, right and now left-hander. As you can see now then, through the final 2 corners then goes Nico Kari. And let's see if he's able to improve on this lap. As now stop with the frame increasing please OBS. As Nico Kari does not improve and he stays in 16th place at the present moment. Hulkenberg coming back in, as is Lewis Hamilton. Here is his former colleague, Pascal Wehrlein. And but now he's an AMP driver. He was an AMP driver, full-time AMP driver I should say, from round 5 last season, after they dropped Fuoco back to GP3. And now, after the gamble of having 2 youngsters in the team backfired, it's pretty much yet again trying to retrace steps for AMP, as Wehrlein stays in 15th place with that lap. As now then, let's see what the rest of the field are doing. As you can see, Roland now back into the pits, and as you can see, Roland there in the pits. Is Ed Jones now then just coming around the final few corners, and we're still dropping frames, I do apologise. He's coming out the final corner, then goes Ed Jones. He goes back into the pits as we wait for some track activity. In fact, we already have some in the form of Carlos Sainz Jr. So he's now out on track, and again, I apologise for the frames dropping. I have no idea why. Hopefully it will stop, as now Carlos Sainz Jr. heading down the straight. In fact, there's a load of cars in front of him at the moment. Sainz at the moment, this is his first appearance in IFMC. Well, I say that, his debut, he was meant to be in Season 1 of IFMC with, well, I say they're now defunct, the team that is focusing on the feeder series is Red Bull Audi, when they were called Thomas Cook Sport, back in Season 1, but they dropped him after poor performances in testing and to make way for Mark Webber. And as a result, Sainz never drove for that season, ended up retracing, going to GP2 as a result. And as a result, actually did quite a decent job. In fact, last season, where he just missed out on the championship to Hartley. And but he's now here in the top class with Shadow Mercedes, and he's looking to take full advantage of this opportunity that he has been given, being part of the team that has been nicknamed the Etihad B team, as the frames are still dropping. I do apologise, guys. Hopefully it doesn't lead to the stream cutting off. But anyway, as you can see now then, up towards the first next few corners and on the track then goes Carlos Sainz, just negotiating through these corners. Through the double right-hander he goes, and he's looking to try and see if he can improve on 5th place at the moment. So far, Sainz looking to be quite impressive during this test at the moment. This pre-season test as they come down the long straight. Just over 20 minutes to go now then in this session. So now Carlos Sainz goes up towards the next few corners on the track. This flat-out right-hander is coming up to next. And let's see now then, up towards the right-hander, and Sainz 2 temps down in the second sector there, and he has got the Renault helmets. In fact, some helmets that have finally managed to gather. Hartley has now got a helmet, his proper helmet in fact, as has Pierre Gasly when he's there in GP2. Charles Leclerc has a proper helmet now. Sainz, I've got his Renault helmet now from last year. Same with Wehrlein with his Sauber helmet. And who else have I got helmet? I've got Lewis Hamilton's yellow helmet now from last year as well, which is strapped onto him. And who else have I got helmets for? I think that's it. I've actually got Ocon and Perez's 2017 helmets. Yes, they are pink. I've got the pink helmets that they use. Sainz stays where he is, which is P5. There's some more cars come out onto the track. Here is Jean-Eric Vergne just coming out of the final corner, and let's see what Jev can do. Vergne crosses the line and stays in 4th place. With that, as Newgarden has just started a lap, currently in 6th place at the moment. Here is Will Power as he goes up towards the final corner. As now just coming down the pit straight, Will Power now then across the line he comes. Is this going to be an improvement for Will Power? And it isn't. He stays in P7. For the time being, here is Kimi Raikkonen. He doesn't improve and stays where he is. Sorry for the drop of frames, which is 20 at the moment. Raikkonen still appearing to struggle. Here's the man currently at the top, Daniel Ricciardo. Is he going to improve on his lap now then? Ricciardo is going to cross the line. And no, he doesn't. Stays on 1 minute 31.346. As here is Charles Leclerc in the shadow. who just comes around the final corner. And let's see what Charles can manage then. Heading down the pit straight, Leclerc across the line, and he stays in 13th place as Ocon starts his next lap. Here is Brendan Hartley, as again, sorry for the frames dropping. Brendan Hartley now then, coming across the line, and he stays in, where was he, 18th place. Fernando Alonso stays in 12th. Carlos Sainz is going back into the pits. Valtteri Bottas doesn't improve again, stays in 21st. Bottas appearing to struggle around this track as Verstappen has just started a lap behind him. Again, sorry for the drop of frames. It's just getting out of control now, it appears. As Joseph Newgarden now then, heading down the pit straight, and he goes up to third with that lap. An impressive time from Joseph Newgarden, getting up into third place in the Mars Grand Prix car. And whether Dixon is able to replicate this from Newgarden. We knew how talented Newgarden was when he was around in IFMC for 1 point last season, and of course when he was a Red Bull Audi driver. But clearly still showing no signs that maybe he should be here in the top class, perhaps. Who knows? But clearly no team is giving him a drive so far. That's why he's got a test drive role at Mars Grand Prix, as he's now up into third place with that. Here is Stoffel Vandoorne, just going out of the double right-hander. And let's see then. So Vandoorne going back into the pits. Anybody on a lap? There was Verstappen, wasn't there? Verstappen was on a lap, but in fact his teammate as well, Esteban Ocon, is on a lap now. Then Ocon just coming down the start straight. He's just ahead of a man who he's been an arch nemesis with now for the last 2 seasons, Fernando Alonso. He stays in 11th with that time, so still just outside the top 10, still off the pace of his teammate Max Verstappen. As now then, let's see what Mad Max can manage as he just negotiates through the left-hander now then and up towards the final corner. And let's see then what Max Verstappen can manage as he's now going to come across the line. Verstappen, what can he do? And he does not improve. He stays where he is at the moment, which is P number 4 at the moment. Has had to back off there as Jones just came out of the pits in front of him there, Ed Jones. Meantime, Romain Grosjean trying to prepare to start his next flying lap. And as they come up towards the next few corners then on the track, and Grosjean now then through the right hander he goes, and Grosjean now then pushing as hard as possible then as he just goes out of the right hander now then, and so through the left hander he goes. Grosjean preparing to start his next flying lap as we have just over 17 minutes to go in this session. So we're getting close to the end of the first day of pre-season testing here at the Paul Ricard circuit. And Grosjean, luckily for him, his fellow compatriot Ocon is going into the pit, so Grosjean shouldn't need to worry. Vettel comes back out on the track for EMR, as does Ed Jones for Mars. So Lewis Hamilton out on track, see if he can try and find some pace to beat Ricciardo at the top. So Roland is out on track, as is Nico Kari. Carlos Sainz out on track as well, as is Pascal Wehrlein. Romain Grosjean out on track as well. And so now through towards the next few corners on the track. And Grosjean now then just heading out of the double right-hander. And let's see if Grosjean is able to improve. As now we head down the straight as he's 1/10 down in the first sector there. And can't quite tell who that is behind. That looks to be his teammate, actually. Yeah, it was his teammate, Antonio Giovinazzi, in the Bud Light Line Motorsport car. So both Bud Light Line Motorsport cars together at the same time down this long straight. It will definitely be a DRS straight, I'm sure of it, when it comes to F1. That will lead possibly to that bus stop chicane that will be in the middle of that long straight. But Grosjean now then, out of the right-hander he goes. And let's see then if he's able to improve on this lap. Get as close to the curve as possible. And sorry again for the drop of frames. As now going through the next section of corners. And let's see then. Through the final corner goes Romain Grosjean. And let's see if he's able to improve. The Frenchman is going to cross the line. And no, he doesn't. He stays in 9th place for the time being. His teammate behind just starting a lap. Here is Sebastian Vettel in the EMR. Let's see what he can manage then on this lap as he just comes out of the final corner. And Vettel, across the line he comes. And he does not improve. He stays in 14th for the time being. As Jean-Eric Verne crosses the line to start a lap. Jones, meantime, crosses the line and stays in 19th place. And Will Power starting a lap, as here is Lewis Hamilton, unable to improve, close to his previous fastest time though, only 500s off his personal best there in the last sector. Roland now then does not improve and stays in last place at the moment. He will be driving an Eldorado tomorrow, so whether it's the pace of the monster that's wearing him down, I don't know. But Kari, meantime, improves to 15th to get in front of Verline, so a decent time there for Nico Kari. As Carlos Sainz is on a lap, and let's see what Carlos can manage as he goes up towards the final 2 corners on the track. And see then, so around the final corner and onto the start straight we go. And Carlos Sainz goes across the line and does not improve. Sainz stays in 6th place for the moment. Verline staying in 16th place. As we now look at Antonio Giovinazzi in the final 2 corners now. Then we go. See what Gio can manage as he heads down the start straight. And Antonio Giovinazzi crosses the line, improves, but stays in 10th place with that lap. And Vettel now then heading out of the final corner. As now we look at Jean-Eric Verne. See what the GRM can manage across the line, and Verne staying where he is at the moment, which is P number 5, as Will Power stays in 7th. And was anybody crossing the line that finished a lap? No, that was probably just me being a bit there. As meantime now then we'll look at Kimi Räikkönen and the Suomi. So now then let's see what Kimi can manage, as Leclerc in front is just starting a lap. Kimi meantime goes up to 13th, so a big improvement there for Räikkönen. He gets up into 13th place with that lap. As now we look at Brendan Hartley, who's just coming out of the right-hander there, as he will now go up towards the final 2 corners now then on the track. And let's see then what Hartley can manage, and for some reason we've lost sound, I do apologise. There we go. As Brendan Hartley crosses the line, improves but stays in 18th place with that lap. As now let's see then we look at Charles Leclerc, who seems to be going up at his personal best in the first sector according to the steering wheel we just had a brief look at there. As Leclerc now then up towards the right-hander he goes. And let's see now then up towards the right-hander. Leclerc out the corner he goes now then, as he'll now go towards the right-hander. And let's see then what Charles can manage out the corner. And Leclerc now then just going around the left, right, and now up towards the final 2 corners we go. And let's see then what Charles can manage. And now going down the start straight now then we go. Charles Leclerc is going to come across the line and goes up into 13th place, so a slight improvement there for Charles Leclerc. And so going up to 13th place goes the Monegasque driver, as Daniel Ricciardo, the man currently at the top, is back out on track, as is Bottas, Van Dorn and Newgarden, as is Ocon and Hulkenberg. And we'll get to Ricciardo now then, wherever he is on the track. And Ricciardo now then starting his next flying lap, as Alonso in front just came out onto the track. And we're right on board then with Daniel Ricciardo in the GRM. And Ricciardo now then going around the right, left and then in towards the double right-hander again. And so using as much of the curb on the left-hand side as possible. Out the corner now, then heading towards the left-hander then as we head down the longest straight, as he's 2/10 down in the first sector. There went Daniel Ricciardo on his personal best, which will be a 1:31.346. As now we go up towards the next few corners then on the track, and let's see then Ricciardo swooping around the right-hander again, 2/10 down off his best in the second sector. And so through the right-hand we go, and we got our first yellow flag, and it is down at turn 1. Who is the culprit? We have a yellow flag down at turn 1, and there it is. It's Grosjean and Bottas who have come together. Grosjean and Bottas have come together. Grosjean has gone for a spin down at turn number 1. I'll be very interested to see how that all occurred off to begin with. So as you can see, Bottas going inside, and they both hit each other there. Maybe need an outboard view there just to have a look, or maybe just get an onboard view of Romain Grosjean to see what he saw, and then maybe look at an outboard view a little bit later on, as we just over 10 minutes to go. Let's have a look then. So Grosjean, oh, it looks a little bit odd there. You can't really tell much there. Grosjean pretty much on that onboard camera, you could only see Bottas there last minute. Obviously, let's have a look then from the outboard cam, and as you can see, it looks like there that Grosjean just did not see him there, and well, pretty much caused his own spin there, to be honest with you. You can't really blame Bottas for that, and well, that was that really. It's kind of awkward really if you look at it where the pit exit is, and well, there you go then. As you see, Grosjean there paying the price, and is he still spun around? No, he's able to get the car going again, and Grosjean once again gets going, but that is the first yellow flag of this season. And again, the frames are starting to drop. I do apologise, but Grosjean then, luckily for him, wasn't on a time lap, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's cost Bottas any time due to that contact that they've made. But meantime, back to Daniel Ricciardo. Let's see what his lap is after this flying lap, and 3/10 off his best is the final outcome at the end. On that lap at least anyway. Let's look at Valtteri Bottas. Obviously he had the collision there with Romain Grosjean, and I wouldn't be surprised if his time got affected as a result. And you can see there, yeah, 1 second off in the second sector. Clear that contact definitely affected Valtteri there that time around, but you can definitely tell according to the pecking order it is looking pretty close. Everyone only separated by just 7/10 of a second in this session, so very close, especially the top three only separated by 7/100 of a second. So yeah, we knew that it was quite close between the rest of the pack towards the end of the season. It looks like well, we're still yet to see how upgrades tend to go, but so far at the moment it looks like we're kind of going to see something similar maybe this season, minus the upgrades of course. Maybe the upgrades will see somebody dominate for quite a while, maybe before the rest of the pack maybe start to catch up again. Who knows? Kind of a situation that we saw last season, but whether that will be the same this season, we don't know. But Stoffel Vandoorne stays in P8 with that lap, as Joseph Newgarden now then comes up towards the final corner, and Newgarden is about to finish his lap. Let's see what Joseph Newgarden can manage, and he goes up to second with that lap. Newgarden up into second place in the Mars car. Newgarden showing some immense speed today in that car, and well, Jones hoping he could have said the same, but clearly not at the moment. Jones down in 20th at this stage, and that's that then. So Nico Hulkenberg crosses the line, stays in 19th place. What about Fernando Alonso? Let's see what he can manage then. Fernando Alonso crosses the line, stays in 12th place with that lap. So Alonso clearly struggling on this first day. As Roland now then just going out of the final corner. And so that's that then really. Max Verstappen crossing the line and stays in 4th place at the moment. As now we look at Jones, and he looks like he's holding up Vettel at the moment on this lap, as we now go up towards the next section of corners now then on the track. So through the left and now up towards the final corner then goes at Jones, and out the corner now then heading down the straight then we go, and Jones crosses the line and he stays where he is at the moment, which is P number 20, as Vettel stays where he is. As we've got another yellow flag, this time down at turn around that right-hander. Why is that? The yellow flag's still down there, but why have we got a yellow down at that right-hander? It said we had a yellow. I don't know if it says we got a yellow for some odd reason, but oh no, that's coming down into this bit here. Look then, and that's very odd. Why was there even a yellow to begin with? Maybe Joseph Newgarden has got it wrong. Maybe. Where is the yellows? Well, there are the yellows, but in fact it's up here. In fact, it's Stoffel Vandoorne. Vandoorne has pulled off to the side of the track. He must have a problem. Vandoorne has pulled off just towards the end of the lap there, and let's see on the replay and see what the cause was. And oh, he went too deep and smacked it into the wall. So the first crash of the day coming from Stoffel Vandoorne in the AMP. Vandoorne currently in 8th place at the moment in this session. And, well, he smacked it into the wall towards the end of his lap there. And looking to try and improve there, but clearly just pushing that a little bit too hard. And Vandoorne finds himself back to the pits as a result. So, P8 still for Stoffel Vandoorne. Meantime, Nico Kari there has just started the lap. The marshal still attempted to clear Vandoorne's car. But it looks like they're just slowly doing that now then. As Grosjean crosses the line and stays in P number 9. And let's see then. So Ollie Rowland is doing a lap now then as he just goes around the right-hander. As now we go up towards the next corner on the track. Ollie Rowland through the left-hander he goes out the corner, and so far down in 22nd at the moment, and looks to try and improve on that if he can. Rowland now then through the final 2 corners he goes up towards the final corner. Then goes Ollie Rowland. And let's see what Rowland can manage then on this lap as we go down the start straight now then. And Rowland crosses the line and stays in 22nd position. As meantime now then, let's see what Nico Kari can manage as he just negotiates through the right-hander now then. And coming out the corner now then, heading up towards the left-hander. And out the corner now then, heading up towards the last 2 corners on the track. And let's see now then what Nico Kari can manage through the final corner, and onto the start straight he goes. Kari across the line and stays where he is at the moment, which is P number 16. So that's that for him, as Pascal Wehrlein preparing to start his next flying lap. Same with Sainz and Giovinazzi, and a couple of others waiting in the pit lane. But Wehrlein starting his lap, currently down in 17th place at the moment, as he now comes up towards the first 2 corners on the track, and making sure there's nobody on the right of him there. Flat he goes through these first 2 corners now then. Wehrlein now then up towards the next few corners on the track, and let's see what Pascal can manage on this lap. Up towards the double right-hander we go, and now through the right-hander now then, as they now go up towards the left, heading down the straight we go, and it's 3 tenths down in the first sector for Pascal Wehrlein. And now just this long run before heading towards the next corner. And the second sector only just after that right-hander. So it's pretty much pedal to the metal in this sector now then. So Wehrlein now then goes up towards the right-hander. And and he's 3 tenths down in the second sector. There is Pascal Wehrlein, as he just goes out of the right-hander, using as much of the curb on the left-hand side as possible now then. We've just passed the 7 o'clock mark now then, as we have just under 5 minutes remaining now in this first day of testing. Wehrlein now then up towards the final 2 corners on the track. And let's see then what Wehrlein can manage. Out the final corner and onto the start straight we go. And let's see then what Pascal Wehrlein can manage, and Wehrlein stays where he is at the moment, which is P number 17. So now Will Power just starts his lap then, along with Raikkonen and Hartley behind, and of course Joseph Newgarden and Charles Leclerc and Jean-Eric Vergne and Daniel Ricciardo. We now look at Carlos Sainz Jr., who's 2 tenths down in the second sector there. Sainz currently in 6th place at the moment, doing a stunning job in the shadow so far. And again, sorry for the drop of frames, and hopefully we are approaching the end of the session, so hopefully we don't disconnect off the stream by the end. It would be a shame, but I think it's less likely now because we are approaching the end of the first day of pre-season testing here at Paul Ricard. As now Carlos Sainz Jr. heading down the start straight he goes, and Sainz is going to cross the line and stays in 6th place with that lap. Here comes Antonio Giovinazzi. Out of the final corner he goes, heading down the start straight now. Then Giovinazzi across the line, and he stays in 10th place with that lap. And let's see now. Then we now look at Will Power, who's 2 tenths down in the second sector himself. And let's see what his third sector is going to curtail. As he just comes out of that corner now. Then through the left-hander, then goes Will Power. And using as much of the curb on the right-hand side as possible. Power now then up towards the final 2 corners we go. And let's see then what Power can do, as he's currently in 7th place around the final corner. And onto the start straight we go. And Will Power now then crossing the line and staying where he is at the present moment, which is P number 7. Kimi Raikkonen stays where he is, same as Brendan Hartley. Joseph Newgarden meantime stays in 2nd, as Alonso prepares to start his next flying lap. Meantime Charles Leclerc, who's right behind him, now then is about to finish off his next flying lap, and it looks like Alonso rejoined in front of him, going out the pits. So Leclerc crosses the line, and Leclerc does not improve and stays in 13th place. Alonso in front, just started the lap. Vergne stays in 5th place for the moment, as we look at Nico Hülkenberg in the EMR. Daniel Ricciardo has just finished his lap and doesn't improve on a 131.346, and so that's that then really. As now we look at Valtteri Bottas. Just over 2 minutes to go now left in this pre-season test, and now up towards the final 2 corners then goes Valtteri Bottas, and let's see what he can manage then on this lap. Around the final corner and onto the start straight we go, and Valtteri Bottas now then goes across the line and stays where he is at the moment, which is P21. So meantime now then we look at Stoffel Vandoorne, who just goes out of the last corner, and Vandoorne now then is just going to cross the line, and Vandoorne staying where he is, which is P number 8, and that's that really. It's now we look at Fernando Alonso in the Etihad, just going out of the left-hander now then, and let's see what Fernando can manage. Hartley has finished his session, as he's got the checkered flag next to his name, but it's only been good enough for P18. Ricciardo looks like he's just going to be going out for a mileage run, unless X-Patch lets him do another lap, because I know how much X-Patch likes to do that on this game. Fernando Alonso now then coming across the line. What can he manage? And he stays in 12th position. Not a good session for Alonso, hoping to bounce back tomorrow if he can. Clearly not able to get to grips with the Paul Ricard circuit today. As Nico Hülkenberg now then stays where he is at the moment, which is P number 19. Disappointing session for him as far as he's concerned, and a shaky start then for EMR in their first outing with Mercedes Power. Ricciardo and Newgarden and Vergne now get checkered flags next to their name. Verstappen going out there for a mileage run. Anybody doing laps? It doesn't appear like it. I think everybody is now finished laps. Well, then again, I know what X-Patch is like. They will sometimes let drivers do another lap, but we'll see anyway. With Lewis Hamilton is about to, he's going to be the first out of the guys that have just come out to start a lap, and I think a few guys are actually doing it as well, from my knowledge. But we're reaching the final few seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Checkered flag is out, and that is the end of the session. Let's see if these guys are able to do one lap. Let's see if X-Patch does that thing again as they just come out of the final corner. And Lewis Hamilton now then, let's see if he be allowed to start a lap, and he will be. So these guys will do one lap, I believe, and then they'll finish off along with the guy behind as well. Ocon also starting a lap, and we'll be expecting Verstappen to also do it as well. So 3 guys doing flying laps, 1 Etihad and 2 Martinis. So that's that really. So now Hamilton now then, as he just goes through the double right-hander. Hamilton determined to finally win the Drivers' Championship of the season after coming runner-up 3 times on the trot in the first 3 seasons. Hamilton currently 600ths off the man at the front of the moment, which is Daniel Ricciardo, but he's 3 tenths off in the first sector, so it doesn't look like at the moment he's going to be able to try and match Ricciardo at the moment. So at the moment it looks like Ricciardo is going to be the man that's going to top the first day of testing, the new employed Etihad driver at the top. And will GRM be strong this season and finally get back to the form of ways they had in Season 2? Who knows? But Hamilton now, they're just going around the right hand. The 3 tenths again down in the second sector, just due to the fact that he's just a straight, really, if you think about it. And now through the right-hander we go. And Ocon behind as well. Let's not forget he's also on a lap in the Martini. Hamilton now then through the left-hander he goes, using as much of the curve as possible as he now goes up towards the final 2 corners on the track. And so through the final 2 corners then goes Hamilton. And let's see what Lewis can manage then as he heads down the pit straight now. Then Lewis Hamilton across the line. Is he able to pull a miracle maybe in the last sector? And no, he can't. Stays in 3rd place. With that, Esteban Ocon meantime across the line, and he stays in P number 11 as Verstappen goes way too deep on that lap, pushing a bit hard to find some extra time, and that will definitely cost him any chance. And it looks like it's just going to be P4 for Max Verstappen. And so that's that. Is Verstappen now then heading through the left-hander now then, and he'll be heading his way across the line, and then that will be his session completed. So Verstappen now then, across the line he goes, and obviously that would have cost him time, and look at that, 1.2 seconds down as a result. But there you have it, guys. Those 3 have finished off, and as a result, Daniel Ricciardo in the GRM is the fastest out of all the guys. Ricciardo goes to the top of the finishes at the top of the timing sheet, so Ricciardo fastest of them all. And 300s in front of a surprising Joseph Newgarden. Whether Scott Dixon will be able to replicate that pace during the season. He is not here, let's not forget. Dixon isn't here for this weekend. Neither Eldorado or Mars putting him in the car. Maybe Mars waiting until Jerez maybe to test him out. But anyway, Verstappen now then. Going back into the pit, and then it should cut back to the main menu. We'll recap what the results are and then finish off this live stream. I'm just going to take a quick picture of the results. There we go, so I can put them out on Twitter later on. But Verstappen now then, through the right hander he goes, and well, you'd have to say quite a close session in this testing session. Whether upgrades will change that when we get to Jerez, we don't know, but wait and see really what happens as far as that is concerned, as now we just negotiate through the final 2 corners. Then goes Max Verstappen, and now he's just coming back into the pit, and there we go. It should say quali over quite soon, which it does, or practice over I should say. And so let me just double click on those results, sorry about that. But there you have it then. That is the end of the pre-season test for day 1 here at Paul Ricard. A reminder then, let's have a look then at what the leaderboard curtailed then. So it was Daniel Ricciardo who was fastest, with Joseph Newgarden surprisingly in 2nd, Lewis Hamilton 3rd, Max Verstappen in 4th, with Jean River in 5th, Carlos Sainz Jr. in 6th, Will Power 7th, Stoffel Van Dorn in 8th, Romain Grosjean 9th, Antonio Giovinazzi 10th, Esteban Ocon in 11th, with Fernando Alonso 12th, Charles Leclerc 13th, Kimi Raikkonen 14th, Sebastian Vettel 15th, Nico Kari in 16th, Pascal Wehrlein in 17th, with Brendan Hartley in 18th, Nico Hulkenberg 19th, Ed Jones 20th, Valtteri Bottas in 21st, and Oliver Rowland in 22nd position. Disappointment for Valtteri Bottas being all the way down in 21st. Disappointment for Raikkonen only managing 14th there after picking up the win in the last race of last season. a disappointment for both EMRs as well. And Alonso clearly not getting to grips, hoping he can try and get up to grips with Hamilton tomorrow if he can. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it for the first day of pre-season testing here at Paul Ricard. I hope you enjoyed it. It has been quite interesting to see the early pecking order. Like I said, whether the upgrades will change that when we get to Jerez, we don't know. But so far, looking quite promising to be possibly a strong season in the early days of this. And but anyway, guys, that has been it. I hope you've enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, tomorrow at 1 PM GMT for day 2 of pre-season testing here at the Paul Ricard circuit. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 2. Until then, take care.